Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday. It means we're brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos and fired up that you're finishing out the work week with us. Work week just about in the rearview mirror. If it is for you, congratulations. If it's not, we'll get you to the finish line here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Normal Friday guest Preston Guy with us at 1:15. Got some anonymous coaches talking about the quarterbacks in the Southeastern Conference. What do they have to say about Garrett Nussmeier? We'll do a little bit of that. It's week 0. Got to talk about that, apparently. We'll talk about it a little bit. We also got a ton to chew on in the second hour. Sonny Ship from Go 24/7 is going to join us to talk a little bit about recruiting, because it is a big recruiting weekend for the Tigers coming up here on the weekend prior to week 1 of college football kicking off. So let's get things started. Last night, a lot of jersey announcements were being made over at LSU. You're all aware of the traditions. You're all aware of number 18. You're all aware of number 7 and what those represent. I don't know if everybody on LSU's football team is fully aware, but they were made that way last night, and Brian Kelly addressed the team to give out the numbers 18.
And this year, we got 2 number 18s. The first recipient is Josh Williams. And the other 18 that will wear it proudly and represents us in the best fashion is Greg Penn.
It's a great video that LSU Sports put out, and if you want to check that out, you can do so on all their social media accounts. Look, here's the deal. I talked about the options for 18 yesterday on the show. I profiled 4 guys. On the offense, I said Josh Williams and Garrett Nussmeier made some sense. On the defense, I said Jacoby and Guillory and Greg Penn made some sense. And then I came back and I said, you know what? It's made my attention that Greg Penn switched from 30 to 3 for Greg Brooks, and I don't think that he'll take 18. And so I went with Jacoby and Guillory. So it's really up to you, the listener, and maybe Beck, the producer, to determine how much credit I get for this, because I put out 4 names. The 2 guys that got it were on my list, but inevitably I went with Jacoby and Guillory. So how much credit am I getting here?
It's just partial credit, I think. You know, like on the test, when you do the question and you get it halfway right, so you get partial credit for showing your work, I think. That's what I'll give you. I
didn't show my work a ton.
Well,
back in the day. I mean, the last test I took was in 2011. That was 13 years ago. Thankfully.
Well, you showed your work in that segment. You know, you gave your reasoning for why. So.
I did. I showed my work in that segment. I'm a little bit better at this probably than I was at school. I would hope. But look, I think it's great for those players. You can hear in their voices in the video. You can hear from the round of applause they get from their team that it's very important to them, and it's a great honor for them to be able to wear that uniform. This has not been around as long as Texas A&M's 12th man. That's a fabric of what they do over Texas A&M. That's what they call their fan base. They've always got a walk-on that does it on special teams, and it's been around for decades. This is fairly new by college football standards at LSU, but it's important to those guys. And there are some that would look at this and suggest, man, you're cheapening 18 and 7 by dishing it out to multiple people every single year. And that's fine if you feel that way. I don't completely disagree with that thought process. Where I land on it is, if it means something to those guys, and it means something in that locker room, then I'm all for it. And you could sit here and look at me and go, well, you're the guy who just had a bajillion people watch you on TikTok say never wear those white uniforms, and the guy's like that, so you're being a hypocrite. Well, it's just the way I feel about the 2 issues. I like the classic uniforms, and I'm okay with 2 guys wearing 18. I think that, honestly, when any award is given out, a gold medal, the top performer in 3rd grade algebra, I don't think anybody takes algebra in 3rd grade, but the point remains.
Nice humble brag, by the way.
What'd I do? What did I say?
You said you got 1 million views on TikTok.
Oh, yeah. I said a bajillion. I didn't actually put it on there. And look, I don't even know what TikTok is. That's all Cassie and Jesse that handle all of that. But like anytime you give an achievement or award or an honor to multiple people in some sort of tie, you could argue that it does split it, and I use air quotes there, cheapen it. But you're putting it on two different sides of the football, and two guys that really represent everything that you're looking for here have been given those honors.
Yeah, like if the guys are worthy, if the guys deserve it, which I think Harold Perkins and I think Will Campbell and I think Greg Penn and I think Josh Williams, all four of those guys I think are worthy and deserving of those numbers. So in my opinion, if they're deserving of it, then give them the number. Who cares if you say that because multiple guys have it that it's not worth as much? I still think when you have,
it's just a very subjective thing. That's all it is. It's a subjective thing.
It is.
I mean, some people feel this way, some people feel that way. But I detailed both of those guys yesterday. And when you talk about Josh Williams, a sixth-year player whose story goes from turning down scholarship offers to walk on to becoming the running back, the starter, leading the team in rushing, giving the keynote address at a graduation event for student athletes, earning a master's degree and a bachelor's degree, all from LSU. Like, that's a great story, and it's a guy that has worked really, really hard and is being honored for that. And you look at Greg Penn, and that's a guy who I just was so impressed with the fact that last year the defense was so bad. Went to a bowl game. A lot of people don't care about bowl games. And at the bowl game, he was given the honor of the guy who showed the best leadership qualities. And to me, that means a lot. And this means a lot to Greg Penn to get that number 18 because of the reason he was wearing number 3 and the fact that he's now no longer going to wear 3. It obviously means a ton to him. And that's a big deal within those walls. Then you look at number 7, same type deal. I mean, is it a little bit hokey? A little bit hokey? To give number 7 to Will Campbell when he can't even wear it and he's got to put a patch on? Is it a little bit hokey to give 18 to Lloyd Cushenberry a couple years ago and he's, I got to wear a patch on because he can't wear that number? Sure, you could pick that apart. But the guy works really hard, and offensive linemen don't score touchdowns, and they don't make the highlight reels all that often, and they don't do a lot of post-game interviews, and they're not on SportsCenter Scott Van Pelt after a big win, and they're largely unsung. And for him to get the recognition that he very much deserves by being one of the best players on the team and allowing LSU to be as good as they are, I think giving that honor is fantastic. And you look at Harold Perkins on the other side of the ball, and you know how explosive a playmaker that he is. I think it clearly means a lot to the kids. That's what I keep coming back to. I watch these videos. I see the social media posts. Cassie's got a picture up right here behind me for those watching on YouTube of Will Campbell and Harold Perkins showing off the uniforms inside Tiger Stadium. You can't look at that picture and suggest that those guys aren't ecstatic to have that honor. And they can frame that jersey and put it in their office or at their home or wherever for the rest of their days. And that's really, really cool. Look, if you give out 11 of these things and one guy's got 18 and one guy's got 7 and this guy's wearing 20 and this guy's wearing 9 and these guys are wearing this, and then all of a sudden you've watered this entire thing down, we can have that discussion. I don't think having one guy labeled as a playmaker on the offense and one on the defense is a bad thing. Having one guy labeled as a leader on the offense and one guy labeled as a leader on the defense is a bad thing. I think that this is a great honor for some really, really good players. And quite frankly, Will Campbell's going to be a huge part of LSU's success on offense. If LSU has success on defense, it's going to be in large part due to Harold Perkins. Brian Kelly's talked about Harold Perkins for the last few weeks about how he's affecting other players on the defense for the first time. He's creating opportunities for all these guys for the first time really in 3 years. If LSU's going to be good on defense, Greg Penn's going to have to play great. He's going to have to play better than he has for the last 2 years. And you look at the offensive side of the ball, I expect Josh Williams will be a big piece to what they do offensively. There's actually a piece up on LouisianaSports.net right now where I asked everybody involved with the station, hey, what do you think the running back rotation is going to look like? And almost everybody suggested, hey, Josh Williams is the guy. Now, there are some dissenting opinions, and there's some nuance to all these, and I suggest y'all go read it and kind of check it out if you're looking for some content here on this Friday. But Williams has been good. He's never going to be mistaken for Leonard Fournette. He's never going to be mistaken for Kevin Falk. He's never going to be mistaken for Jeremy Hill. But he's a good quality SEC back, and he's a great guy for LSU to have on the field. He's really good in pass protection. He catches the ball very well. He gets you what's blocked. And he's a good leader for this team. You don't have Jaden Daniels anymore to bail you out. You don't have Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas to go make every play. That offense is going to look around in that huddle come Sunday next week, and there's going to be some new faces. And the guys that you counted on to do a lot of things last year aren't going to be there. Josh Williams will be. That's a comforting thing, I think, for a lot of those guys, especially Garrett Nussmeier. Will Campbell on one side, Josh Williams behind you, that makes you feel a little bit better. So I think this is a great thing. If it's not your deal, that's fine. I talked about that yesterday. It's in the grand scheme of things to me, analyst and radio show host, to you, Joe fan, not that big a deal. In the locker room, it is. I just have one small complaint with the whole thing. If we're going to do this, can we maybe do it closer to like 8 in the morning or 5 p.m. instead of 9 o'clock so that I got to go run and do a story on it? Can we maybe do that? Just tweak the timing a little bit next year.
So you're saying they should cater to your needs for the story.
Look, I'm not telling them not to cater to my needs is what I'm telling them. I'm telling them not to. So just take that whichever way that you will.
Gotcha.
But if we want to do it at 8:30 a.m. next year, that would work fine. I think that would be good. But big honors for those 4 Tigers, and they'll all be very, very important come next Sunday in Las Vegas. Still plenty to do here on this Friday. We're brought to you by Corks Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Getting a late lunch, Corks is an absolutely awesome option for you. They're on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Fantastic crispy fried catfish, jumbo gulp shrimp, shoestring fries. If you're watching the Saints on Sunday, or hey, if you're getting a big watch party together next weekend to watch the Tigers, looking to feed people in bulk, Corks is an awesome option to make that work for you. So give them a call a little bit in advance. Get those catering trays ready to roll from our friends over there at Corks. They bring you our Friday shows each and every week. We'll come back with Preston Guy talking some more football on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Every shot, every goal, ESPN Bet has fans covered for the biggest moments on the road to a championship. The exclusive sportsbook of ESPN, the only place to find special offers and promotions from your favorite ESPN shows and personalities throughout the summer and now into the fall. It's football season, y'all. If you're ready to get some cash down, ESPN Bet is your place to do it. New users, listen to this, can get a bet reset up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Can't beat that. Download ESPN Bet today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in partnership with LeBares Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink, or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Back to school savings at Bayou Ford. $12,000 off F-150, $12,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150, and $10,000 off Expedition. All new Bayou.
Sandegriff, join us for the Monday edition of Live at Lunch. We're going at 10 o'clock to accommodate the Brian Kelly press conference from Big Mike's in Denham Springs. We'll recap week 0, and it is finally game week. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. from Big Mike's, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Chugging right along here, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Corks. Let's head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, joining us every Friday. Preston, how we doing?
Hunt, what's going on?
Not a lot. How many snaps can I pencil you in for Florida State, Georgia Tech tomorrow morning? 100%?
Yeah, absolutely. For that one, for sure. I'll even catch a few of the snaps of SMU versus School for the Blind or whoever they're playing, you know?
I'm in a pick'em, and that game's in the pick'em, and SMU's laying a bajillion, so I just took the other team.
Yeah.
I don't even know who the other team is.
I think
Nevada?
7.5. Yeah.
I think it's Nevada. I don't know anything about the Wolfpack or the Mustangs, but I'm taking the points. So that's where we are. But we're here. Let's briefly, your thoughts on Florida State. We've seen them twice in the last couple of years. DJU in for Jordan Travis. Are they a national title contender? Are you a believer in Norvell being able to keep it rolling, or was that kind of a team that was really good for a year and a half?
Norvell's got a really good track record dating back to his days at Memphis. If you look at him, he's kind of like Kalen DeBoer in the fact that, you know, he hadn't had a ton of years as a head coach, but he took Memphis, struggled at first, built them up to 12-1. You know, same thing with Florida State last year before going 13-0 and getting dismantled by Georgia. But, you know, they lost most of their team. I think it's improbable to see another 13-0 season like we saw last year. But I do think it's probable to expect that he's got that sucker built up pretty well, and they could be a good team. They're going to compete for 10 wins, of course, in that ACC conference that, you know, 10 wins isn't the hardest ask in the world.
No, and we'll see how those 10 wins are stacked up with probably some SEC 10-win teams if that is, in fact, the case. Let's talk some Tigers. Last night we found out there's an 18 on offense and defense. There's a 7 on offense and defense. They're all pretty good players. Your thoughts when you heard those announcements?
First off, all the players are certainly good picks. I'm not the hugest fan of having 2 of each. You know, it kind of cheapens what it means if you've got 2. You know, I'd be okay with, like, assigning 1 a year. And if you have a guy returning like you do with Will Campbell, you know, you just add another one to the mix, right? Another thing I would even be okay with is, okay, you've got Will Campbell, first off, is clearly your best player on the team, clearly deserving. I mean, the most surefire fit for a guy who fits the role of number 7, but he can't wear it on the field. So it kind of sucks that one of your single-digit numbers that's so coveted is taken away for this reason. So you don't actually get to have one on the field. I'm okay with a double in a circumstance like that. The double 18 feels a little forced, whatever. I think they should have just given it to Josh Williams and let Greg Penn wear 3 in honor of Greg Brooks. But, you know, both guys are clearly veteran guys deserving of it. I think Josh Williams was by far your betting favorite to land the number. And I think he's a great fit for number 18. I do wish, though, we could just have one. Let it be special for that one. He's the 18 this year. He's the number 7 this year. You can't highlight 4 guys every game. You know what I mean?
Has there been a standout in camp to you? Maybe not, but I figured I'd ask.
That's a tough question, Hunt. A singular standout? No, there's not one guy who has stood out as much better than the rest. Harold Perkins looks really good in that role. Brian Kelly even said he was unblockable at times. I'll say this. The defensive line is the one unit that looks better than I expected them to. So I'll pick a standout as the entire defensive line looks a good bit better.
Guillory is my answer to that question, just to add some context to that. I've been very impressed with him. And look, I came into camp. He and Kyron Lacey have been the 2 guys that I was a little bit skeptical of just because their returners haven't been asked to be the guy. And both, to me, in camp have looked very, very good.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's great. And he's a big part of my answer to say the defensive line because, him, it's like he's been buried on the depth chart for so long. And this year, now he is the guy at the top of it. And you're kind of going from a situation where you're hoping he can give you some good reps to after spring practice. It's like, he looks like a solid option as your best defensive tackle.
Are you buying a little bit of a Savion Jones buzz? I was really looking for him to break out last year, and it didn't quite happen.
Yeah, and I think last year, the answer for a lot of these edge rushers is you could see just how undisciplined they were playing. Savion Jones played the worst season of outside run contain I've ever seen in my life. That is strictly a coaching issue because, you have 3-star slow defensive end for Nevada as a 27.5 dog against SMU who are able to play better outside run contain than what we saw from Savion Jones this last year. So I like what I'm seeing out of him. I think, though, more so than a huge breakout season from him, we're going to see a lot of those edge rushers rotating in. And, they're just so deep. I mean, Swinson, Parrish Shan, Deshaun Womack. I think that we're going to see a good year from that position group. I don't think there's going to be one guy who's just, you can't take him off the field. He's so good. And I think Savion Jones fits that bill of he's good, but is he going to be better than a fresh Braden Swinson? And vice versa, is a fresh, Savion Jones going to be better than a tired Braden Swinson? I don't think any of them tired are better than the next man up. So I think there's going to be a lot of rotation. I think we're going to see that position group improve from last year. I don't think we're going to see one guy be the anchor, the stud. You know what I mean?
No, I completely do. And I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here asking about a true freshman, but I'll tee you up for a second as to who you think could be an impact guy as a true freshman, with the understanding that there aren't a lot of true freshmen that are making an impact these days because you can just go get transfers that come in to fill those spots. So is there a true freshman that you've seen in the course of camp that you think is going to have an impact on this team, whether it's Woodland or Trey'Dez Green or somebody else?
Man, first off, we were talking about defense. I do want to say Gabriel Welliford is having a good camp, but I also think that they don't like to lean toward freshmen. And if you don't like to use a freshman, there's not much excuse to turn away from the veteran guys because there's so many at that position. So PJ Woodland, he had a very nice interception against Nussmeier on a play that he actually tried to throw the ball away. Yeah. And Woodland was just all over it, used that length. I'd say the problem with Woodland is he hasn't put on the weight like we'd like to see. He's probably under 170 still. So if he has to tackle, you feel kind of bad, but he has looked good in coverage. I like his position where he's at, where you've got, looks like Ashton Stamps is going to be your top corner. You've got Zy Alexander coming off a knee injury. You've got Sage Ryan, who is a hybrid player at best, probably a true fit for safety, but in the chance of the apocalypse, like last year was basically the entire season was the apocalypse, he'll give you good enough reps at corner, right? And PJ Woodland has a good opportunity to plug in that. Here's the thing, getting on the field as a true freshman is almost always more about your circumstance and depth chart situation, more so than how talented you are.
Right, and we've seen some LSU freshmen come in and play at corner, but they're Patrick Petersons and they're Derek Stingleys and they're freaks of nature that everybody identified when they were 16 years old. PJ Woodland doesn't fit that category, although he looks to be a promising young player. I'm interested what you think about safety, because when we go out there, you see the same two guys pretty much taking all the reps. You've seen Jordan Gilbert and you've seen Jordan Allen, but everybody seems to like Deshaun Spears as well, with Major Burns playing down towards the box. Where are you on the safety spot?
Well, I like him, and I like Kylan Jackson. I love the second-team safeties, both true freshmen. And you also have to factor in there, you do have to factor in Sage Ryan. Do they turn to Sage Ryan, or they turn to one of the true freshmen first? I think that's a very good question, and I think the answer is going to become situational, right? What situations do you think Sage Ryan will perform better than these guys at? I like both the safeties back there, but as far as backups, I like the backups as backups better. I don't know if that makes any sense, as in like it
does. And I want to go further, because how do you think there's a chance that by the time we get to Halloween that the backups have pushed for more playing time? Maybe not against USC, against that passing attack. They've never been out there, but by the time you get them some garbage time against Nichols, and hopefully you beat up on South Carolina, and they've gotten some seasoning, could you see them playing more substantial time against A&M or Bama or Oklahoma at the end?
I think for Deshaun Spears, it's a matter of when, not if.
Yeah.
I really do. He looks like a grown man out there. I think he's got some things to learn here and there, but I don't think they're going to roll a true freshman out game one when they have more veteran presence back there. But he oozes talent to me. I think Kylan Jackson's a guy I could see playing a role in this first year, but not necessarily breaking out as a starter. That's kind of how I feel about those guys.
I would tend to agree with that. Preston Guy is our guest, TigerBait.com. Get Preston here shortly to tell you where you can find his stuff on YouTube. They got a great show every single week, and we're now into the season. We got Brian Kelly's first press conference coming up on Monday. You still worried about punting? How do we feel about that?
Yeah, I actually took track of some of the punts. Peyton
of course
Todd,
you did.
Yeah. Get me with that notepad out there, and you're going to see some real irrelevant stuff real quick. But it was like, do I record what's going on with the punters, or do I look at offensive linemen doing like a drill by themselves?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I think so Peyton Todd, when he hits the ball, he's the best. When he hits it, the hang time, the leg strength, it's there. The problem is he's shanking way too many of them, and his shanks are ugly. Oschendorf does not have the same hang time as Peyton Todd when Peyton Todd hits it. And he kicks more of a line drive ball, but you look up and all these punts are going 40-some-odd yards or more. And the problem is, in a football game, you really cannot afford a 10-yard shank. That's the kind of stuff that turns a long drive. It basically adds probably on average 4 or 5 points to the board if we're just chopping up the statistics there. So you cannot have that. So you have to make the decision, do you want a guy who can get you 45 yards or a guy who can get you 50, but then one in every 4 punts shanks it out of bounds? You know what I mean? And to me, that seems like Oschendorf is the guy. Worth noting, Badger Hargett, he's very consistent. He hits the ball well, but he does not have a booming leg like either of the other two. He's not a bad third option or a guy, if any reason the other two struggle, you can get some good kicks. Problem Badger, he's a little guy. He's probably 5'8", 160 pounds, something like that, whereas Peyton Todd is colossal. He played linebacker for West Monroe and probably could have played in college at linebacker had he not torn his ACL. He's 6'5", 200. I mean, you basically have 11 tacklers on the field with him, whereas Badger, you lose that. So that was one thing in the kicking competition I always looked at. Like, he's going to have a leg down, no pun intended here, because he can't tackle the way the other two can.
Why would you listen to the Hunt Palmer Show? Because you can figure out which punters may or may not be able to tackle better. That is why you would tune in on Fridays to hear my guy, Preston Guy. Where else can they find you on YouTube as the season cranks up, Preston?
Hey, if you want all this college football junkyism, I'm available every Monday night, 8 p.m. on the Tiger Bait YouTube channel. You can keep up with all my work on tigerbait.com, where all my writing goes right now on all the changes we're seeing this year. In my opinion, this is the most changes we've seen in college football since the invention of the forward pass. I challenge anybody to come up with an example that proves me wrong, because it's wild how many changes we have. I'm excited for it to start. It starts Saturday. And essentially my 5-month Christmas starts Saturday. I'm excited.
Let's do it. Next week we'll be breaking down an actual real football game. Let's do it. Have a great weekend, Preston.
You too, Hunt. See you soon.
Preston Guy, tigerbait.com, with us every single Friday. All right, when we come back, there's something on Twitter that just is making me laugh, and I'm going to have to talk about it. We'll do that next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Visit LeBare's Baton Rouge Casino this summer and fall for exciting live sports action. If you want to watch the games, big screen TVs, comfortable chairs, fantastic food, gambling, well, LeBare's Sportsbook is where you want to be. Plus, Penn Play Rewards members can win up to $500 in Penn cash every single week. So visit PennPlaySports.com/cover5 today and register for your chance to play and win. If you're not a member, no big deal. Get the Penn Play app today. LeBare's Baton Rouge Casino, your live sports headquarters. Bring your crew for all the action. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Back to school savings at Bayou Ford. $12,000 off F-150. $12,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And $10,000 off Expedition. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, you know, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, you know. We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because
Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. LSU commit Philip Wright stops by. We'll preview Saints Titans, and the Wright Radio Hours return 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
It's a huge recruiting weekend for LSU football. Potential for a couple of announcements to head LSU's direction. We'll talk about all of it with Sonny Ship in an hour coming up at 2:30. Okay, I might be overreacting to this. Like, it's possible I'm overreacting. However, there have been multiple instances of this kind of thing, and I'm starting to believe that it's real. Like, where there's smoke, there's fire. 2 weeks ago back, you remember, we were talking about Arkansas football, and John Neighbors, who covers Arkansas and does a radio show and a YouTube show, said, like, horrible scrimmage for Arkansas. And we sat here and we were like, how horrible could a scrimmage be? Like, like how bad could it be? And it turns out they threw 8 picks in the scrimmage. Like, that's pretty bad. Well, we just saw another YouTube video that John Neighbors was running that popped up on my Twitter stream. And the title of the video was, it just went away. And Taylon Green is not a top-tier QB. Now, that's obvious to everyone. No one expects Taylon Green to be in the Heisman conversation in a couple of months. Like, okay, we're all on the same page. But this is the time of year where everyone is looking at their quarterback going, I think he's going to be pretty good. Like, I think, if you've got Jalen Milroe, you're thinking, he could develop, and DeBoer's a new coach, and he could be, he could be a Heisman Trophy winner. If you've got, Blake Shapen at Mississippi State, you can go, well, he threw a lot of touchdowns at Baylor, and Levy's a good coach, and we've got Garrett Nussmeier, who we've seen a little bit of, and he's got a good supporting cast. So, and no matter what some guys haven't played, and you think they could be good. Some guys have played, and you think they get better. Some guys were highly thought of recruits, or everyone's being positive this time of year, and everyone out of Arkansas is essentially going, "This is a train wreck." Like, that is a massive red flag to me.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not a betting man, but if I were, somebody get to a window and get the under on Arkansas.
Yeah, I certainly can't recall a time that I remember hearing about a team in the preseason where they were just so negative about the quarterback and just how bad the team looked.
They have bucked my ongoing hypothesis that everyone's on the same clock with college football. Like, everyone starts their build back towards positive in the spring. You kind of ease into it in the summer, and then it reaches a fever pitch before Labor Day when you're about to take the first kickoff because you haven't done anything wrong yet. Yet these Arkansas media members are going out to these scrimmages, and clearly it is an absolute dumpster fire. And it's not like Taylon Green. A number of things here. He's not facing Georgia's defense.
Nope.
He's facing Arkansas's defense,
which probably isn't going to be great.
And they can't even hit him. Like, it's not like you're under duress or something. You're about to get your clock cleaned. He's in a different color shirt, and he still must be terrible. Keep in mind, I have not seen any YouTube videos of this. None of it is available to me. I'm purely going off what the media says. But, John Neighbors is an Arkansas homer. He is like me for Arkansas. Now, we try to be objective, and we do the best we can to analyze things and present our facts, and we don't just make stuff up. But John Neighbors wants Arkansas to win. They were absolutely giddy when they hired John Calipari a couple of months ago, and the Kentucky fans were kicking him out the door, and they were all fired up. And you would think that they could try to muster some optimism up in Fayetteville right now, and it is just the hill is burning.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking. And for Taylon Green, who we talked about this before, he wasn't very good at Boise State.
He was not good. The stats are bad.
So what did they truly? And hey, look, maybe he's just a gamer, Hunt. Maybe he's just a gamer.
I somehow doubt that because he played in games at Boise and was terrible. But maybe the practices, he's just not. Rohan Davey was apparently like that. Like, he just was awful in practices, and that's why Saban was so hesitant to play him, and they put him out there in a game, and he's throwing for 5 bills. But, I knew Arkansas was going to be bad. This feels like they're in a worse spot to me than anybody else in the league outside of Vanderbilt. I can muster some confidence about everybody outside of Vanderbilt in the league if you make me. I can try to do it with Napier. I can try to do it with Shane Beamer, and I could probably get you there.
Yeah.
I can't come up with anything in Fayetteville other than the fact that maybe Petrino's on your staff and is going to be the head coach and refine some magic in 2 years. But that's the best I can do.
The only thing that I would say is that I would maybe put Florida close to them just because of how hard their schedule is.
Yes, but
they have a quarterback that they trust, and I think most people.
And they've got some 4 and 5 star kids somewhere. Like they're not as good as Georgia, and I think they're gonna have a terrible year. But I could get you there. I could convince you. I'll just do it. Like they've got a quarterback who can function. He didn't turn the ball over last year. He knows what he's doing. They've got some playmakers. Napier has been a good play caller in his time there. The defense is athletic, and they're not trying to win 10. They might just be able to get to 7. I could sell you a bill of goods that Florida can beat LSU in the Swamp. I can sell you a bill of goods that Florida can go to Mississippi State and win. We don't know what Florida State is with DJ Uiagalelei. Maybe they win that game at the end of the year. Like I can try. Arkansas, I cannot get you there with Arkansas.
Yeah.
There are no good players, and the quarterback apparently stinks on
Well,
ice.
they have Landon Jackson.
They do have Landon Jackson.
He's good.
He is a good player.
That's about it, though, I think.
I mean, he would be nice to add on this LSU team, but they just refuse to do what needed to be done. And the question is, this is an interesting discussion that I've heard, like Neil McCready and Chase Parham, who cover Ole Miss, that I reference a good bit because I listen to their podcast probably once a week just to kind of catch up on Ole Miss for 25 minutes and then move on. But they had an interesting discussion that at A&M or Texas or Ohio State, like essentially there are infinite funds. Not literally, but essentially. And you can do whatever you want with that money. But they talk about at Ole Miss, like you kind of have to pick. And if you want your football team to be good, like you have to commit, okay, we're going to go to the transfer portal and we're going to pay these guys and this is what we're going to do. And oh, by the way, have you checked on Ole Miss's baseball program the last 2 years? They're not paying enough guys NIL money. They suck. They are one of the worst teams in the league 2 years running, and they're going to be awful again this year.
And they won the World Series like 3 years ago.
Exactly. But they have determined where their funds are going to go. And if Arkansas gets in the head coaching market and they're going to interview candidates, and on the way down to the AD's office, the candidate is going to look over and see John Calipari's office and go, so what are we doing with NIL money here? Like, who gets that? And guess what? John Calipari gets it.
Well,
I think that's how that's going to go.
Yeah, I agree with you. However, it's just so much different because you only have 11 guys on a basketball team, and
Right.
maybe like 3 or 4 of them are guys that you're really going to be paying a lot. So I do think that in that regard, it helps maybe Arkansas a little bit in saying like, okay, yeah, we know, look, we had John Calipari. He's going to be getting guys. We're going to be paying him a lot, but it's only going to be 3 or 4 guys, so we'll still have money for the football team.
And that would be true at Ohio State. That would be
but
true.
Arkansas
But
yeah.
John Calipari is going to recruit. He's going to have in-home visits with the top 13 players in the country.
Yeah.
At least 8 of them. And like that, he brings in 6 every year, and then they all go to the NBA. And that's not going to change because he moves from Kentucky to Arkansas. They got a huge stadium, a huge arena. They've got a national championship trophy it's old, but it's in the hallway. And he's John Calipari, and he can show them Anthony Davis and Derrick Rose and John Wall and the whole deal. They will still recruit those guys to Arkansas. I don't know if they'll get them all. Duke's pretty good at that now, and Kansas is going to get their fair share as well. And some people may not want to go to Arkansas, but like he's still going to do that. So it's going to be a continuous payroll on the Arkansas basketball side of things. And I just think Arkansas football could be in a world of hurt, like just an absolute world of hurt. And I don't know how relevant that is to LSU anymore, because it used to be really relevant. You were going to play them at the end of the year. They're in your division. Like, that's a big deal. I don't know when we're playing Arkansas, and they're not in our division anymore. So, like, what's the difference between Arkansas and South Carolina now?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I was taken aback. I was supposed to do a segment here that was dealing with all the SEC quarterbacks, and I saw that, and I was just like, this is a developing story. When a Homer media guy is bashing the team before they've played a game, it must just look real bad. And I feel bad for Coach Pittman because he's a nice guy.
I do. And I do wonder, though, with Arkansas choosing this direction of saying, okay, we're going to go get the highest profile guy we can get for basketball. What are they going to, because I feel like the fan base, I have some family in Arkansas, and I know some people there, and I feel like football is the sport. I feel like for the most part, I think.
Yes, but that changes when John Calipari walks in.
It does change, but I do still think that the fan base, if it's clear that they are not giving a lot of effort towards the football team, I do think that will hurt the fan base a lot.
I agree. And look, I can't speak exactly from experience about what went on here in the mid-90s, but the football team cratered, and I'm sure Tiger Stadium was not the most fun place to be in the world. And over at the box, things were rocking, and nobody outside of a 4-mile radius gave a flip about college baseball at that point. And you just packed it, and you just committed to it because you could win. And winning makes people feel good, and they will get behind whatever it takes that's winning. And if Arkansas fans look up this fall, and they're getting beat by 30 by everybody, and then they come out there, and John Calipari's got them hosting College Game Day, and they go they're scheduling non-conference games with Kansas, all of a sudden they make it to the Sweet 16, that's going to be where they start to gravitate towards. It's just natural. So I had no intention of doing this when we started the show today, but we did it. There we are. That's Arkansas talk on this Friday. All right, we'll take a time out. When we come back, it is week 0. I've got a couple thoughts on the week 0 slate. We're going to talk some recruiting with Sonny Shipp, and I do want to get to those anonymous thoughts on SEC quarterbacks that ESPN published earlier today. We'll do that at the top of hour number 2. So come back with us. Close out hour number 1 on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy. EvolvePT.com is the website. Robbie Bolton's been doing it for 2 decades. If you're looking for physical therapy in Baton Rouge, you go one place. You go to Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports, right there on Starring, near Highland Road. Being in pain is just no fun. And being in pain keeps you from doing things that you find fun, whether it's golf or pickleball or youth athletics, going for runs, whatever the case may be. If you're not able to do the things that you want to do because there's too much pain involved, you need rehabilitation. And you need to go to Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. Robbie Bolton and his team are so hands-on. From the second you walk in that building, they will be with you doing the soft tissue manipulation, doing the cupping, the dry needling, everything that you need to make sure that you get back to being your active self. So everything they do is customized to your unique situation. Someone who's 9 that's been injured playing sports is not going to be the same as someone who's 68 who got into a car accident and is trying to get back on the golf course. Those are 2 very different situations, but Robbie Bolton and his team are equipped to deal with all of it. If you've had a bad physical therapy experience in your time and you're looking to get back to being your active self and quit dealing with all that pain that's with you daily, it's Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. Check them out, Starring near Highland Road, or online, evolvept.com.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Esther and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless you add Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Crews here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
A Monday edition of Off the Bench. Jake and T-Bob back in the host chair. It's LSU game week. We'll preview the matchup between USC and we'll recap the Saints' final preseason game of the 2024 season. Tune into Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Week 0 cranks up tomorrow, college game day from Dublin, Florida State, Georgia Tech, 11 o'clock on ESPN, our time, in Aviva Stadium over in Dublin. The number, 10.5, Florida State is favored. I have selected the Noles in my free college football pick'em that I'm in. Here's my problem, though. I think, look, if Joe Burrow and Cam Newton and those guys are a 10 for college football players, not for draftable guys, not for NFL prospects, but if they're college football 10, like I think Jordan Travis is a 9. Like I was incredibly impressed with Jordan Travis for 2 years at Florida State. We know what he did to LSU. In the Dome, it was just a third down clinic. In the Dome, it was a third down clinic. LSU got him to third down time and time and time again and could not get him off the field. Last year, they kind of did whatever it is that they wanted to do, which most teams did against LSU. But he had Keon Coleman and he had Johnny
Wilson, there
it was. Big and tall dude. But I thought Jordan Travis was so good. And I think DJ Uiagalelei is not good. Like I think he's a below average quarterback. If I was ranking SEC quarterbacks, DJU would come in somewhere around 10. Like I do not think he's a great player. And that's a big deal. I do think Mike Norvell is recruiting well. I do think they do a good job in the portal. And I think he's going to do a good job at Florida State for a number of years. But the difference between Jordan Travis and DJU to me is substantial. And I feel like that's not going to maybe catch up with him in this game because I don't have any confidence that Georgia Tech has anybody that's any good at all. So I think they'll win comfortably. But I just think that week in and week out, when you have that drop-off at quarterback, it feels like to me you're bound to have a significant drop. I'm not even talking about losing Fiske and Verse on the defensive line, and I won't claim that I know Florida State's roster inside and out. I knew it pretty good last year this time, and I know who's not there anymore. Some of those guys can be difficult to replace. So I'm taking Florida State as a complete sign of disrespect towards Georgia Tech. But I don't have Florida State as a playoff team for me this year. I think Clemson is the class of the ACC.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. But not
that I think Cade Klubnik's going to win the Heisman, but I think he's better than DJU.
Well, I don't know, man. Like I remember that year that DJ was the backup and at Clemson, and then he played in that Notre Dame game. He played really well
because they had COVID.
Yeah, but I think he was a 5-star. Like he's got talent. I think he can do it. I don't think he's
the proof. We've seen enough. There's just not going to be a progression from where he was. He was benchable at Clemson. He was forgettable at Oregon State, and I just don't think at Florida State that translates. If it does, that is a huge feather in the cap of Mike Norvell to continue to keep that churn.
Let me just say this. I'll say, look at Bo Nix. he had his moments at Auburn, but overall he wasn't very good. He went to Oregon and was good. Now I'm not saying it's exactly 1-for-1 because obviously DJU was at Oregon State last year and he wasn't great. But I'm just saying when guys are highly rated and they're a good big top name recruits and specifically quarterbacks, like they had to have had talent enough to where they got rated so highly.
I don't disagree that he could probably put on a show in a one-on-one a QB pro day.
I'm just saying, like I'm just saying it. I don't want to write him off completely, but I do see why most people will. But I'll give him a chance. If Florida State has some decent players, I think he could be all right.
I got him losing twice, and I think losing twice in the ACC could be bad deal. Just depends. We all were looking to see how this thing all shakes out. We don't really know. So, hour 1's already shaken out. That's done. We got 1 hour left to go. When we come back, anonymous thoughts on SEC quarterbacks entering the season. Shani Ship talking recruiting in 35 minutes. Come back for hour number 2. It's a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
This is Sports.
I'm Kevin Winter. College football fans, the wait is almost over. Tomorrow, noon Eastern time, the opening of the 2024 college football season, a season unlike any other in the history of the game. 10th-ranked Florida State takes on Georgia Tech from Dublin, Ireland in the Aer Lingus Classic. The game can be seen on ESPN television. The festivities begin at 9 a.m. Eastern with College Game Day live from across the pond. Actually, if you caught any of the Pat McAfee show today, you are already aware that the festivities are well underway. Week 3 of the NFL preseason continues tonight. 3 games on the slate. Bears finished up their preseason schedule last night. Today, Chicago acquired linebacker Darrell Taylor from the Seattle Seahawks in exchange for a 6th-round pick. The Pro Football Hall of Fame announced today a series of changes to its selection process, most notably reducing the wait period for a head coach from 5 years down to 1. This means someone like Bill Belichick, who could be enshrined as soon as 2026, so long as he doesn't coach again. Let's say BB does coach again. Perhaps Pete Carroll could be set for enshrinement in 2026.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Monday, college football is underway, and I'm going to tell you who the biggest threat is to Ohio State and Georgia. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Number 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. 1 hour to go here. I'm headed to Rouse's from 3 to 5, Burbank and Lee location. Fired up to be out there. Gonna have some hats, cups, things to give away. We can talk some football. So if you're out and about and want to do some grocery shopping, Burbank and Lee, Rouse's, I'll be there until 5 p.m. Sonny Ship going to be with us in 30 minutes, talking some recruiting, big recruiting potential weekend for LSU here in the final non-playing weekend of the preseason. But I want to talk some LSU football, specifically, actually some SEC football to start here. Interesting piece. These are always interesting to me. Adam Rittenberg, senior writer for ESPN, anonymous, off the record, spoke to some SEC coaches about all the starting quarterbacks in the league. These tend to have a little bit more snap to them in terms of the quotes than you would see if this was on the record type stuff. We see this oftentimes in June. The D1 baseball guys will go ahead and talk to coaches from around the country about the teams that are still left in the super regionals and get a little bit more candid information from coaches when their name isn't attached to it and you can't throw it on a bullet board somewhere. So I was curious to see what the coaches would say about Garrett Nussmeier, and I was a little surprised at the direct quote about Garrett Nussmeier from an SEC coach. Here it is. He's going to be an elite player. He's got great arm action. He's got great anticipation. He knows the game. He's got enough arrogance that he knows how to play quarterback. That's interesting. I don't think of arrogance when I watch Garrett Nussmeier in interviews, and I don't see a ton of it on the field. You could say there's some daredevil type stuff in his early playing. I mean, when he went out there against Georgia in that SEC championship game when LSU was down $1 million and Jaden got hurt, like there was nothing to lose. He was letting it rip. And there were some really good plays and there were some really not good plays that he made. And I guess you could call that a bit of an edge. I don't know if I would call it arrogance. But it's an interesting word to use. 'Cause I mean, you wouldn't call Joe Burrow arrogant in 2018, but you heard some of the quotes that came out in the preseason where he said that they could be the number one offense in the country and average 50, 60 points a game and all that kind of stuff. And you could maybe tag that as a little bit of arrogance if you wanted to, although it would have been a little bit of a stretch. I don't see any of that with Garrett. And so that's an interesting quote, but I love the fact that this coach who's at another school in the SEC thinks that he's going to be a great, great player. That would make me a happy guy, and that would make a lot of you listening very happy people if Nussmeier goes out there and balls out. The write-up here says, despite 3 seasons as an LSU reserve, Nussmeier is a familiar name to coaches, largely because his father is a longtime pro and college coach. Garrett Nussmeier was ESPN's number 63 recruit in 2021. Made his first start at the end of last season when he passed for 395 yards and 3 touchdowns against Wisconsin in the ReliaQuest Bowl. And it kind of details his time at LSU. And to me, I will be honest with you, my show has sounded different in regards to Garrett Nussmeier based on that game in the ReliaQuest Bowl. And I don't think that's hypocritical, and I don't think that's something to point out as a negative. I just want to point it out. I went into that ReliaQuest Bowl going, man, I don't even care if they win. I honestly don't. It's a rare instance where LSU is in a competitive sport where they're keeping score and the stats count, and I just don't care if they win. All I care about is how Garrett Nussmeier performs. I said leading up to that game, I would much rather Garrett Nussmeier throw for 421 and 4 touchdowns and lose because that defense gave up 60 and you lost 42-60 than Garrett Nussmeier throw 3 interceptions, LSU get a pick 6 of their own, and beat Wisconsin 28-27. That, I wanted to see what the young guy could do. And it was not as seamless as the Jaden Daniels offense. We didn't expect that. But he did make some really good plays early in that game. And then he had the drive at the end where he made some really good throws. He made one down the far right sideline, made a deep ball to Chris Hilton down the left sideline, hit the slant over the middle to Brian Thomas to win the game. And that to me was a big moment for Garrett. I don't know how he feels about it. I don't know how you feel about it. If you want to look at me and say that's a bowl game, nobody cares, I can't completely refute that. Very few people care about bowl games. But this was his first chance to have a game plan tailored to him, to come in prepared to play, not coming off the bench because Jaden's hurt, which he had to do in Tuscaloosa, which he had to do in the SC Championship game against Georgia. To have the game plan tailored to you, to know you're going in, to have mentally prepared for that, to have actually prepared for that, and then to go out there and play. And I thought he did a good job. Now, I don't think Wisconsin is the 85 Bears, but I think that meant a lot. And I feel better this month in entering Sunday's game. I keep saying Sunday's game. It's next Sunday's game, but you get the point. I think all of you are aware that LSU's not playing in 2 days. In next Sunday's game, I feel better about LSU's chances in that game because of how Garrett Nussmeier played in the bowl game. And I'm assuming this coach who gave this quote to Adam Rittenberg knows a lot more about Garrett Nussmeier and football than I do. But I guess that'll remain to be seen a week from Sunday. Another couple of quotes about guys in the SEC from anonymous coaches. Jalen Milroe, who I'm fascinated to see this year. Very, very much fascinated to see. They like to throw the ball vertically, an SEC defensive coordinator said. Jalen Milroe got better at that. It'll be interesting to see how it all flows together. He's a damn good football player, so they'll figure it out because DeBoer's a damn good coach. Maybe the kid's gotten more accurate, but I know he kills people with his legs. I fully expect Alabama's offense to look completely different than it did last year. I'm curious if Kalen DeBoer is able to use this skill set because I'm confident he's never had a skill set that looked like this. Michael Penix is nothing like this. Jake Hayner's nothing like this. Those two guys have some similarities. Good, not great arm, pocket passers, NFL roster guys, mediocre legs. That's the opposite of Jalen Milroe. Incredible legs, huge arm. But how does it look with the game plan put together? Bama decided they were going to run the ball, they were going to throw the ball deep with him, and he was going to run. We'll see what Kalen DeBoer does. My gut tells me you'd want to do things a little bit more quickly. Keep the deep ball in there because Milroe's good at it, but do things a little bit more quickly in terms of slant game, screen game, that kind of stuff. Connor Wigman, I was interested to see what the opposing coach had to say about him. I like him a lot. He was athletic. You can hit him a bunch of times. He just keeps playing. He's a very, very talented kid. Wigman is another interesting case study with this SEC quarterback crop because I think he's really good. And we talked about the quarterbacks earlier this week. I kind of put them into tiers, and I put Wigman in the tier with Garrett Nussmeier. Now, he's played more than Garrett Nussmeier a little bit. He hasn't been in college as long as Garrett Nussmeier, but I think he's got a chance to be really, really good. Wigman's issue is they got to put an offensive line in front of him. If they've been awful in the offensive line for 2 years, it got him hurt last year. That's the opposite of what Garrett Nussmeier's dealing with the offensive line. It's great. So it's a different case for Connor Wigman. Jackson Arnold is going to come here. He's at Oklahoma now, and I wanted to see kind of what the assistant coach would say about that. This was actually on the record. Jeff Lebby said he's going to have a chance to play a really good year. They've got some really good pieces around him. They're going to be better at tight end, better at running back, and they've got some great, great pieces in the receiver room. He's set up really well. That's not as interesting to me because it's on the record and you're going to get a really good answer. Jeff Lebby is not going to be the coordinator at Oklahoma, then go away from there and go, yeah, we brought him in and I saw him practice and, man, that guy could not do it. I think they've got real problems there. Gabriel should have stayed. Now they got this kid, and I think it's going to be real trouble. He's not going to say, yeah, I think he's going to be okay, but he just does not sense pressure. Like, he's not going to be critical. On the record stuff is not as powerful in this situation because you're just not going to get any meat on the bone. But I am, like, Dylan Gabriel's pretty good. And by some accounts, he kind of got run out of town for Jackson Arnold. That needs to pay off in a big way. LSU will welcome Oklahoma in coming up in the finale. And last one that I wanted to get to here is Jackson Dart. This is an anonymous quote from an SEC coach. Said, I don't know that his arm is as big as some in the league. He's got good stats, but I don't know if he's got a big NFL arm or anything like that. And we've seen that. Jackson Dart's not a guy with a huge arm. He's just got a really good coach, and he's really got huge weapons. I mean, Trey Harris is awesome. Caden Prescore's a really good tight end. They go and get Juice Wells, who's an all-conference player at South Carolina. They've got weapons around him at Ole Miss. And I realize Quinshon Judkins moved on, but they've got Ulysses Bentley, and they've got some good running backs that I think are going to be fine. I've gone back and forth on Ole Miss and how I want to feel about them, and essentially I've kind of settled on, like, they're going to be good. Like, they're going to be. I just don't see the bottom falling out of Ole Miss. I hope for it. I would love to see it. I hope they get their butts kicked down the street in Tiger Stadium when they show up. But I think they're going to be good, and I think they've got a real chance to make the playoff. Sonny Ship's going to talk with us in 15 minutes about recruiting. Kind of piggyback on that thought I had on Jackson Dart about Ole Miss is not going to crumble. What would have to happen for LSU to crumble? I've got some thoughts on what that could look like coming up. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group. Jonathan Carbo and the Highland Insurance Group, they got you covered. Commercial property and casualty, of course, your group and employee benefits. They can be your one-stop shop for all of your insurance needs. I know it's not the most fun thing to talk about, but it's a necessity. You don't want to start thinking about insurance once you've had a cyber breach or once the hurricanes rolled through, and now you got to look in your policy and see what's going on. If you're one of those business owners who's not really prioritized insurance, has just kind of found the cheapest option, signed the box, and we'll worry about it 12 months from now, I would suggest looking into that a little bit more intently, and that's what Jonathan Carbo and his team will do for you. They want to be an advocate for your business. They want to be a representative for you in the insurance market. They want to be part of your team like your attorney is, like your CPA is. That's how you should trust your insurance broker. And Jonathan Carver and his team are happy to help you with that at the Highland Insurance Group. If you don't know what EPL insurance is, don't know what D&O insurance is, there's a lot of acronyms in the insurance game. I know. I spent 7 years there. Ask Jonathan Carver and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. They're right here in Baton Rouge. They can handle your property and casualty. They can handle your group or employee benefits. Check them out online, highlandig.com. It's Highland Insurance Group at highlandig.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Crews here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Sandegriff, join us for the Monday edition of Live at Lunch. We're going at 10 o'clock to accommodate the Brian Kelly press conference from Big Mike's in Denham Springs. We'll recap week 0, and it is finally game week. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. from Big Mike's, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Big news for a Tiger all-time great. Learned about an hour ago, wanted to confirm, saw one tweet, but it's been now confirmed and LSU's account has officially sent it out. Dylan Crews has been called up to the big leagues. He will make his debut for the Washington Nationals Monday night in our nation's capital against the New York Yankees. An incredible honor for Dylan Crews, who's done a really good job in AAA since getting called up, hitting about 275, 5 home runs in 50 games. But he's crushing the ball this week. He's got 9 hits in his last 5 games, and he's kind of figured things out at the AAA level. I think a lot of people will hear that 275 average and go, well, that's not that good. Check batting averages in pro baseball. Nobody can hit. Like, everybody hits 225, 240 in the big leagues. There are a very, very small few that can approach that 300 average. It just doesn't happen very much because every reliever throws 100 miles an hour. Hitting 275 is plenty good enough. His talent's fantastic, and they need him to develop at the highest level. And for Paul Skeens pitching, That's where the game is dominated. It looked easy for him. It's not going to be easy for guys offensively. Of course, famously, Alex Bregman got up to the big leagues and was just awful for his first week and a half before figuring it out, and he's had a fantastic career there in Houston. Hopefully Dylan doesn't have the same struggles, but the good news is we'll get to find out, and the good news for him is that he'll get to find out as he heads to the big leagues, and he'll make his debut on Monday night. He'll be the second member of that 2023 LSU National Championship team to get to the big leagues. So mark your calendars and get to a sports bar, find the MLB package, and check out Dylan Crews coming up on Monday night. He'll very likely be in the starting lineup for Washington against the New York Yankees coming up on Monday. Got a piece up on that at LouisianaSports.net as well. So congrats to Dylan Crews, one of the greatest players, in my mind, the greatest player in the history of LSU baseball, making it to the show coming up on Monday. I can promise you this, Ryan Terrio and Matt Moscona will have plenty to say about that coming up on After Further Review here in about an hour and 45 minutes when Ryan comes on in. All right, I teased something in the last segment. It's not a super fun segment to do, but I do think it's worth chewing on before we get into things because we did not do this last year. And the question is, and this is not a conversation I want to have next week. I want to have it now, and then we'll put it in the back burner, and we'll be positive moving forward. But the question is, like, what would happen to cause LSU to really underachieve this year? Like, what would be the case? I don't think we could have predicted last year's defense. Like, that would have been really difficult. And I guess the short answer is the defense would be just as bad and the offense wouldn't pick up the slack. But that's pretty obvious, and I think our expectations on the defense are pretty reasonable this year. I don't know that anybody expects LSU to be a top 20 defense in the country, and I think we all think that it's going to be a little bit better than it was. We've heard Brian Kelly talk about how they're not having a bunch of busts, and you've seen some different looks from Harold Perkins, and the word on Savion Jones is that he's been good, and they're getting a little healthier at cornerback, and I think there's reason to believe the defense could improve. Certainly one reason LSU would bottom out would be if the defense does not improve and they can't cover, which I talked about 2 weeks ago, and it's gotten a lot of acclaim. Or not acclaim. A lot of people have noticed that I didn't love what I saw early in camp. I'll say it that way. But the other piece to this is there's a possibility that Garrett Nussmeier is a really, really average quarterback, maybe even a below average quarterback. I personally, as I sit here right now, don't believe that to be true. I just told you in the last segment, I love the way he looked in the bowl game. I love the way he's carried himself. I think he's looked good at practice. I believe he is going to be a top 5-6 quarterback in the SEC. But I'm allowing for the opportunity that maybe he's just really average. And if he's really average and the defense only marginally improves, and then you look at that schedule, it might be tough to keep up with USC. It might be tough to keep up with Ole Miss. It might be tough to keep up with Alabama. It might be tough to keep up with Oklahoma. Then you got to go on the road, and you got to play Texas A&M. You got to go on the road. You got to play South Carolina. And we talked about Arkansas in the last hour. I don't think they'll lose that game, but there are enough games that kind of scare you that if you're not a 30-point per game and you're more like a 22-point per game team, well, maybe the wins and losses swing by a couple. Again, I want to be clear. Like, I don't anticipate that. My expectation that LSU will be a top 20 offense in the country. I've heard a lot of people say top 15, top 10. That's really good. Like, top 10 offense in the country is really good. We can't be completely blinded by what we saw last year in 2019 and just think that that's pretty easy to roll out of bed and do. You got to be really good to do that. But I think there'll be a top 20 offense, and I think Garrett Nussmeier will throw for 3,200 yards and 23 touchdowns, and he'll only throw about 4, 5, 6 picks. And I think he's going to do a good job. I do. But I'm allowing myself to consider in analyzing the team and looking at the schedule, like, how does this buckle and you go 7-5? Because every single year, somebody buckles. Every year. In the SEC, in what was the Pac-12, and every year, somebody goes out there and you go, what the heck happened? I hope that's not LSU. A&M did it last year. You just watched it. Florida did it last year. Now, some people saw that coming a little bit, but there were others that saw them on the come. It's Billy Napier's second year, but they flatlined. South Carolina was building off a really good year last year, and they just fell flat. Now, you could have seen Mississippi State coming. You can see Arkansas coming. But for some of these big-time schools, like it's difficult to see coming. I don't know that anybody saw USC having the year they did last year with the returning Heisman Trophy winner coming back. All this segment's trying to do is going, well, how could that happen to LSU? And I think the answer is they're just not good enough at quarterback. And then I'll follow that up by going, I think they'll be fine. And we'll know coming up next Sunday, because I think LSU is going to need to score 34 points to win the game. I don't think LSU is going to beat USC 28-27. I think they're going to need to get into the 30s. I think that's very doable. I don't think USC's defense is going to be great. I think LSU's got great playmakers and should have the makings of a really good offense, and I trust Garrett Nussmeier. But again, you just kind of look and you go, well, what aren't we looking at? And lastly, I just wanted to do this segment today and not next Wednesday. Next Wednesday is not time for that. Next Wednesday is time for breaking down USC. It's time for getting pumped up. It's time for games to show up and let's play. And there will be some positivity on this show next week. I have not decided who I'm picking to win the game yet, mainly because I haven't looked at USC that closely. I did not look at USC that closely on purpose, because if I knew everything I was going to know about USC 2 weeks ago, I would have started talking about it 2 weeks ago. And guess what? If I started talking about it 2 weeks ago, there's not a lot to talk about next week. Next week is reserved for scouting them, talking about it, hearing from guests from them, and getting ready for the season. We turn the page into the weekend from this segment here pretty quickly. And speaking of this weekend, big recruiting weekend for LSU coming up. There are some huge announcements the Tigers are in on. We'll see kind of where things sit with Sonny Shipp when we come back. But first, let me tell you about Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. If you're getting fired up for LSU football next weekend and you want to have a big game watch party and you want some delicious food there in bulk for a big group, Cork's should be your stop. Fantastic, delicious, crispy fried catfish, shoestring fries, jumbo Gulf shrimp. This recipe was born right here in the seafood capital of the world, South Louisiana. It is fantastic. If you're looking to feed the office, birthday party, tailgate parties coming up at home, Corks can help you with that. Or if you just want a great dinner this weekend, Corks can make that happen for you. Drive on through. I say this all the time, but if you're one of those South Louisiana folks that says, I'm not going through a drive-through my seafood, just try it once. Try Corks one time. I promise you, you will not regret it. It is fantastic quality product. Get those beignet bites as well for dessert. Very, very good stuff over there at Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. We'll come back with Sonny Shipp next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio, Video, Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com is that website. Speaking of having a big watch party at your house, make sure your sound system's good. Make sure the TV's awesome and it's mounted correctly and everything looks great. That's what Mitchell Fisher and his team can do at Audio, Video, Security Solutions. People's Choice Award winner for the best vendor at the Parade of Homes earlier this year. That's not a coincidence. They have fantastic products and they have fantastic customer service as well. Always invite you to check out their Instagram, because it always has great videos and pictures, photographs of the things that they're doing, both inside at people's homes, outside at people's homes, residentially, commercially. Talking about outside stuff, it's about to be time to spend some more time outside when it kind of cools off a little bit. Maybe dining outside, hanging out outside, play some tunes out there, mount a television out there. Audio, Video, Security Solutions can handle all of that. If you're building a home, call them now and make sure that they can go in there before everything's put up and they can get your house wired as it's going up. Fantastic, fantastic stuff over there at Audio, Video, Security Solutions. Check them out online, avssla.com, or give Mitchell Fisher a call, 225-439-7920. It's Audio, Video, Security Solutions at avssla.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045espn.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by
Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. LSU commit Philip Wright stops by. We'll preview Saints Titans, and the Riot Radio Hours return 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
I will be at Rouse's coming up this afternoon, 3 to 5. Come hang out with me there, Burbank and Lee. Very much looking forward to that. It's going to be a big weekend for LSU on the recruiting trail. Sonny Ship covers all of it for Go 24/7. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sonny, how are you?
Good, brother. How you doing?
Doing quite well. I know that there are a couple of big announcements regarding LSU coming up this weekend, Jonah Williams being one of them. That's been a wild recruitment. Kind of walk us through that process and how that's looked.
Yeah, it's wild and I guess gotten wilder down the stretch, as you can say, like you expect. When you're talking about a 5-star prospect, one of the elite athletes in the country at a position that he plays safety, could possibly end up playing linebacker. I think he would be a perfect fit for what Blake Baker wants to have in that star role of his defense. But he's a guy who was, when LSU had their big recruiting event, the Bayou Splash, on July 26th, he was a guy who was supposed to come in. He visited Texas on the day before that, which was a Thursday. Ended up not coming to LSU. They had some bad weather in his area and stuff like that. But, when that didn't happen, I think that kind of definitely threw up a little red flag for me, because you had 5 days after that he still could have visited before the dead period that we're currently in kicked in. And by not showing up on campus for that, even though that he did visit over the summer, kind of just made you start to wonder, okay, is the Jim Schlossnagle move from Texas A&M to Texas, is that really playing as big of a factor as it indicated? And I think so. I think now when you look at the tea leaves, when you look at where things stand, most people feel that Texas has the edge at this point, and that that LSU has some work to do here in the final hours. I caution, though, because we saw this with DJ Pickett at this point before DJ Pickett's commitment. Most people thought that he was going somewhere else too. And, of course, LSU was able to pull that off down the stretch. So it'd be interesting to see if they can pull this off with Jonah Williams. But Texas is really, they've kind of circled him, and they said, look, we've taken some hits on the recruiting trail. We've lost some guys. Texas only has 2 of the top 18 prospects in the country on 24/7 Sports committed. 2 of them are uncommitted, one of them being Jonah Williams. And so this just really feels like one of those cases to where Texas said, okay, we're backing up we're backing up the truck. We're doing everything that we can to not let this kid leave the state. And I think they're trying to, that they're kind of trying to just really make up for some of these other guys that they lost here. And, heading into at this point of the process, I think he's going to be a tough pull. But I don't think his recruitment will be over because the kid really likes LSU. He really likes LSU football, really likes LSU baseball. He's a guy, probably think of Jared Mitchell, I guess, if you're thinking of the last football/baseball player that prospect that LSU has really had, that they have really had a good chance of getting to play both sports. So it'd be interesting to see what happens over this next 12 to 18 to 24 hours with him. And then, Aiden Anding, he's also committing on Saturday too. That's the Ruston cornerback.
Yeah, let's get thoughts on Aiden Anding. Obviously, LSU was looking for corners in the worst way a month ago. Now you got DJ Pickett in. You go and flip one from Texas last week, Cade Phillips, and all of a sudden Aiden Anding is now ready to commit. So what are you hearing on that, and what would that mean for LSU if they could get him in?
Yeah, and Aiden Anding, he's a guy that most people thought was going to Texas a month ago. Unlike Jonah Williams, though, Aiden Anding did make it down on that the day before the Bayou Splash, and that was, I want to say, 1 or 2 days after he picked up his offer from LSU. If LSU hadn't offered, he would probably be committed to Texas by now. But that LSU offer kind of put his recruitment on hold a little bit. He kind of started reevaluating things, and I think LSU's in a great position to land the Ruston cornerback. And he's rated an 89, which is the highest 3-star that you can get on 24/7 Sports. But I would not be surprised that when all is said and done, if he's not someone who we see ranked higher than Cade Phillips when everything is over, because he's a kid who's really focused on basketball. Football has really prominently entered the picture, probably for about a year, maybe 2 years. And so once you take all that AAU basketball out of the equation with him, I think you're going to really start to see his development kind of take off.
Corey loves those big, rangy athletes, and Anding looks like kind of is in that mold as well. What kind of cornerback class would that be if that would be it for LSU with Pickett, Phillips, and Anding?
Well, if you get Pickett, Phillips, and Anding, I think you really have a nice haul because I think you got 2 guys. You got 2 guys on the outside that you could put on the outside in Anding and Pickett. Phillips, I think, is kind of one of those guys as a tweener. Is he a safety? Is he a corner? Could he possibly be one of those versatile pieces that you put in the secondary? And tweener's probably not a great word for that, but just a really versatile guy who can fill multiple roles in there. But I don't know if they'll be done yet, though, because LSU offered Jacob Bradford probably about 3 weeks ago. That's the Houston commit out of Catholic High, Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Committed to Houston. Obviously, Blaine Bradford, his brother, is a 5-star safety in the 2026 class. And while they haven't really focused on playing together, I think when you get that chance to play together in front of the hometown team, I think it's going to be hard for Houston to hold on to him. The key for me is going to be, can LSU sign 4 corners in this class after you just signed 4 in the 2024 class? Back-to-back 8 corners, that's a pretty big haul right there. But with the scholarship numbers expanding, the roster going from instead of 85 scholarship players now to 105, it's going to, it remains to be seen how schools are able to handle these roster limits now. Because if you look at LSU's roster right now, including walk-ons, they got 113. Getting down to 105 is really not that tough. But I think holding on to 105 scholarship players is really going to be challenging for coaches because, look, kids on a scholarship, I get, a lot of walk-on players, they're like, okay, they're fine with, some of them are fine with just getting to play at LSU, getting to hold that helmet, getting to be, getting to live that dream of being in Tiger Stadium and things like that. These scholarship players, they want to play. They want to get on the field. And so how are you able to manage a roster of 105 scholarship players and keep everybody happy? I think that's going to be tough for college coaches.
I've got an answer for you is how to keep 105 college scholarship players happy. You can't. That's not doable. You just got to keep as many of the good ones happy as you possibly can at this point. So it's just a fascinating time in college athletics. You did say, it's going to be, can you take 4 corners after taking 4 corners last year? I think I just heard everyone in our listening audience yell yes after they watched what they watched last year. You can take as many corners as you possibly want at this point. I want to talk a little bit big picture here, Sonny, not like individually with players. Like when they set these commitment dates and then you start talking about, it gets a little wild there at the end, does it kind of turn into an auction at that point? Okay, here's my date, and then everybody kind of gets involved and numbers start flying? I mean, is that the sense that you're gathering with some of these big-time players?
I think that's a big part of it, and I think that's a big part of it because, in the grand scheme of things, and let's just say that, let's just toss some numbers out there. This is not specifically tied to Jonah Williams, but let's just toss some numbers out there. You got School X is coming in and saying, okay, we're going to, we've got an $800,000 deal spread over the next 3-4 years, whatever that, however they pitch that. But then all of a sudden another school comes in and, they say, okay, they give you 20% more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that may not sound like I guess like career changing money, but when you're talking about an 18-year-old kid and in some situations, you've got some situations to where, these kids didn't have anything growing up. The families are doing everything that they can just to be able to afford the, having to pay for trainers, having to pay for coaches on the side, all the, nuances that go into raising a kid in these days. And so all of a sudden, it can seem like that is a lot of money. And people might be saying like, well, wow, $200,000 is a lot of money. And when you average that out, let's say you average that out over 3 years, now all of a sudden you're talking about $65,000 a year. And, you toss, I don't know about you, I'm sure you're making a lot more than me, but you offer me $65,000 more a year. And hey, I'm probably I'm looking at my kid over there in the shoes he has and say, okay, we can take some duct tape off of those and get you some new ones.
I'll listen to 65K. Matt's listening. 65K is good. All right. No, that's, look, it's a wild world. It's not something that we talked about a lot 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. But certainly,
I'm just glad we can, though, now.
Yeah.
Now we can. Because, it used to be, if you talked about Alabama buying players or you talked about Georgia buying players, LSU buying players, publishers at other sites and stuff, they would get butthurt. Like, oh, you can't talk about our coaches cheating or anything, even though you knew it was going on.
Right.
I'm just glad now we can openly talk about money being a huge factor, and just, it's out in the open now. It's not behind closed doors. It's not under the tables. The Red Elephant Club doesn't have as much of a presence as it once did. And just, we've got everything out in the open to where we can talk about it now.
What do you think about this LSU team as they enter the season? How are you feeling about the USC game as we're, I guess, 9 days out?
Yeah, man, that USC game, I'm putting a lot on that. I'm putting a lot on that. I just think that they've got to really come out. They got to get off to a good start. If they can come out and win that USC game, I see a path to the college football playoff. Obviously a lot has to fall in place there. You got to stay healthy at key positions like quarterback. You can't afford a lot of injuries along the defensive line or the cornerback position. But if you win that USC game, then I can see a path to 6-2 in the SEC, which if you lose to the right team to get to that 6-2 mark, which then would put you at 10-2 to end the season, then I think you have a chance. You have a very strong chance to get into the playoff. I think you would probably agree, and a lot of people have said this, is that finishing in the top 4 in the SEC is.
That was really inopportune for Sonny's phone to cut off. But I think what he was saying there is that finishing in the top 4 of the SEC is very likely to get you into the playoffs. I think the SEC likely gets 4 teams in, and if you're fourth in the SEC, you're in good shape. I think if you're fifth, all of a sudden it doesn't feel quite as good. So that's I think the point that Sonny's was looking to make, and I think that's the point that we all feel like we know, but you can't know for certain because we've never done this before. So that's kind of the point. That's really exciting this time of year, is we just don't really know. All I know is that you're definitely in the game after 2 losses. You're in the game after 2 losses, and there were times in the past where you certainly were not in the game after you lost 2. So that's kind of where I'm sitting, and I think that we're all in agreement. I appreciate Sonny for jumping on. Apologize that his phone cut out, but if you're looking for recruiting coverage, team coverage, absolutely check them out at Go 24/7. A lot of really big recruiting news potentially coming down the pike for LSU over the weekend, and Sonny, Glenn, and the team over there at Go 24/7 have got you covered. All right, when we come back, we will close out a week's worth of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. You can do something simple for you. Tub to shower conversion. In my house, we got a 2.5-year-old. He takes a bath every single day. Bath time is a disaster more often than not. There's water everywhere. I'm soaked. He's going nuts. There's toys everywhere. The cat's involved. We got to take a bath every single day. If you don't ever take a bath and you don't ever use your bathtub and it's kind of old and it's a little bit dingy and it's a little bit unsightly and it's not all that functional, get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower. One Bath and Closets does tub to shower conversions all the time. It changes the look of your bathroom, changes the functionality of your bathroom, adds some value to your home. Make that call. David Duvall and his team at OneBathAndClosets.com. You can check out the testimonials from their satisfied customers. You can look at pictures of their fantastic work. Check them out on Instagram as well. But get that free consultation from David Duvall and his team at OneBathAndClosets.com. It's One Bath and Closets, OneBathAndClosets.com.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Esther and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Crews here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
A Monday edition of Off the Bench. Jake and T-Bob back in the host chair. It's LSU game week. We'll preview the matchup between USC and we'll recap the Saints' final preseason game of the 2024 season. Tune into Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tune in Friday night tonight for the third and final edition of the SEC Radio Network's Battle for Atlanta. It's a full preview of all 16 SEC football teams as they prepare for the 2024 season. That's tonight at 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. And make your picks. Today is the last day for this year's college football pick'em to start off the first week, presented by Hooters. You can pre-register now at 1045ESPN.com, and weekly winners will be entered to win a 2-night stay at the Beau Rivage. In the first place, season-long champion will get a 75-inch 4K flat-screen TV and soundbar, plus a Hooters wing party for 10. It's the 2024 College Football Pick'em presented by Hooters.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Lots and lots up at LouisianaSports.net right now. My full breakdown of the wide receiver positions on the front page. My full breakdown of the safety position is on the front page. Got a Baseball America story up there about 9 Tigers in the transfer portal that are top 100 players. Station survey asking our entire station about LSU's running back rotation. Ross Jackson wrote an incredible piece projecting the entire Saints' final 53-man roster. Chris Marler has a good column up there. The top 5 SEC teams not to win a national title. That's on the front page. Plus, Dylan Crews headed to the big leagues, and we've got that on the front page as well. So if you're looking for your Louisiana sports news, some stories, some opinion, some features, they're all up there at LouisianaSports.net, and they are all 100% free. All right, Beck, let's take it or leave it.
All right, first one here. Week 0. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. Like, if an SEC team was playing, I would definitely watch. But, like, we can all start on the same week. I think it's okay that they're playing in Dublin, and if I'm available tomorrow and not riding or throwing the baseball in the backyard with my kid, I will watch some of Florida State and Georgia Tech. But I just feel like we can start in week 1. The NFL starts in week 1. Major League Baseball starts we can start on the same week.
Yeah.
I'm not over the moon about it. And I'm in for Florida State, Georgia Tech. Whatever else is going on, SMU, Nevada, not a snap. That ain't happening.
Also, why do we have to call? Why can't we just call week 1? Like, why can't we?
It's not. Everybody else plays week 1 tomorrow, and then you're going to throw everybody off because 3 teams wanted to play in Ireland.
All right, whatever. Anyway, yeah, I think it's stupid. All right, moving on. Dylan Crews is headed to the show. As we talked about earlier in the show, he will hit 300 MLB homers. Take it or leave it.
Take it. I'm hopeful. I believe his freshman year, I pinned a tweet saying he was going to hit 300 MLB home runs.
Really?
It's bookmarked.
We'll have to check the tape on that one.
It's bookmarked. I actually probably have it here under my Twitter bookmark.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Where is bookmarked? They put different.
Yeah, they changed it around.
What is GROK?
Well, first of all, Hunt, it's X, okay? Not Twitter.
Let's just call it Twitter. I don't care about X. I don't even know where Grok 2. What does that even mean? There are bookmarks. I found them. There's a different tab. Let's see when I put this tweet out about Dylan Crews hitting 300 home runs. It was... this is riveting radio here as I scroll through my bookmarks.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't have that many tweets bookmarked, but I do.
Well,
I don't see it. I don't even know where it is. I thought I had a tweet bookmarked. That's a
letdown.
That is a huge letdown. I thought I had it. I'm gonna have to go back and
you'll find it. Maybe
I'll find it eventually. But, there it is. Yeah. April 8th, 2022. So that was early in sophomore year.
Okay.
Middle of his sophomore year.
Not as impressive.
Middle of sophomore year, calling for 300 homers. It's not like I called for he'll make the big leagues.
That's still pretty good from you there, especially if he does it, of course.
Yeah.
If he doesn't,
we're hopeful.
Last one here. as my phone loads up because the computer is broken. Saints will host the Titans on Sunday in the Dome. Less than 40,000 in the seats. Take it or leave it.
I'll take that.
Yeah,
sure.
I'll take it. Easy.
I think they'll fill it up for Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
they will.
natural. But, man.
Preseason is just...
Week three preseason with,
terrible.
nobody out there.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Well,
I can't imagine that many people are going to line up to go buy $10 beers and watch guys that are about to get cut.
Not to mention the fact that I would say, let's say if Drew Brees is still on the team, I think there'll probably be maybe a few more thousand people show up. He probably wouldn't play in this game, but still, it's just when the expectations are so low for the team, even the most Saints fan is
but
like
more so. We have turned the preseason into just nothing.
We
they used to play in preseason.
Yeah, that's
people
true.
used to play.
Yeah.
Nobody plays. If you get 2 series, that's like, holy cow, they were out there for a while. I will tell you this. I've now been paying attention very closely to Ross Jackson covering the Saints for LouisianaSports.net. He will find an angle and he will figure out something to write about. He can pull it out of anywhere. His practice reports are fantastic over at .net. So we'll have something up on Sunday, no matter who plays for the Saints and how many people are in the stands drinking $10 beers, because that's just what's going to happen over there. All right, we're done here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show presented by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We were busy today. Preston Guy at 1:15. I made fun of Arkansas a lot in the first hour. That was not intentional. It was not in the doc, but it just showed up on my Twitter feed. So we went ahead and did that. Previewed Week 0. Sonny Ship talking some recruiting as well. Big potential weekend for LSU. If you missed any of that, you can catch it on demand at 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can certainly find us. If you're looking for YouTube, Hunt on LSU, Hunt on Saints, all your LSU football right there. All right, folks, we have officially made it. We do not have to fill any more airtime. We do not have to worry about what there is to talk about. I'm done for this Friday show in about 40 seconds. And the fact of the matter is that when we come back on Monday, we got Brian Kelly press conference. We got getting ready for a football game. We have finally reached football season. Enjoy your final weekend without LSU and Saints regular season football. Be safe out there. We're back Monday, same time, same place. Matt is going to drive you home on After Further Review. I'm headed to Rouse's, Burbank, and Lee. Once again, have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you Monday on The Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Not quite done. Not quite done. We got to tell you about Boudreaux's Electrical. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Neil and Melissa have been running Boudreaux's Electrical for 40 years down in the 985. And you can also find them here in the 225 with that new Gonzales location. Storms are inevitable down here in South Louisiana. Fact of the matter is you can protect yourself from power outages during those storms. Give yourself the peace of mind of knowing your power is not going to go out. You can do that with a standby generator at your home from Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Also, if you're a commercial business owner, commercial property owner, and you don't want your power to go out on the job, Boudreaux's Electrical can handle commercial orders as well. You can't stop the storms, you can't stop the afternoon showers, the hurricanes, but you can stop the power outages with my friends at Boudreaux's Electrical. Every single generator, a 7 to 10 year warranty, depending on the one you buy. It's Boudreaux's Electrical. Check them out online. It's at boudreauxelectrical.com.